So it's just setting it all up now, and hopefully we'll be going to stream. So it's just okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what, unfortunately, as government have dictated, our last Zoom meeting at the present time for the parish council. We'll be going back to normal meetings in the near future. Okay, we've got quite a busy agenda for tonight, and hopefully it's on the screen, and if the councillors confirm that they can see the agenda.
Yes,
yep, we can see it.
Okay, so as again, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming. This is the annual general meeting of the parish council, and what I will do is, as we don't have a vice chair, I will take this section, and then now, Gina, do you want me standing down straight away? So not normally how we do this.
You'll be fine to do the first item, and then the chairman will then take the next item and the rest of the meeting, please. Okay, no problems. So I'd like to, for the election of the chairman of Easton Parish Council, to nominate, we need to nominate someone. And I would like to nominate Stuart Renders as chairman. I would like to see if there's a seconder available for that. David Lewis has seconded. All in favour? Yep. So I'm now resigned as chair of Easton Parish Council, and Stuart Renders now chair. Over to you, Stuart.
Yeah, good evening. So I would like to go to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the election of vice chairman. And for that, I'd like to nominate Benjamin P. Moy. And yeah, so I'd like to propose that. I'd like it seconded by Peter, seconded. All in favour? Yeah. So, right. So, yep, Ben, you're now vice chairman.
Thank you very much.
Parish Council. Thank you very much.
Can I just remind you both that you need to sign your declaration of acceptance of office forms, please?
Yes, thank you,
Yep.
Gina. And we're going to do that now. I've got my pen, so we'll sign
Well
those
done.
now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I don't believe we have any apologies for absence this evening.
We do have apologies, further apologies from County Councillor Dewsbury. She's got 4 parish meetings tonight, so unfortunately couldn't attend.
Right, okay. As I say, I've been away for the past couple of days. And do we have any declarations of interest for this evening's meeting?
Nope.
No. Right, so as we move on to, as I say, I'm new at this, so do we now move on to item number 5, Peter?
We just need to make a resolution to suspend the meeting for public participation. So if you can either do that by show of hands or propose and seconder, but you do need to resolve to suspend the meeting.
Right, okay, so we will now suspend the meeting for public participation for 10 minutes. Everybody
I'll propose that.
in agreement?
I'll propose.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, thank you very much. Well, as I say,
I don't think we've actually got anyone present, but I think we did have a couple of questions.
We did have a couple of questions, and so we had a question from Mrs. Gladwell, which I will read out. Mrs. Gladwell has stated, if I miss item 5, my question is as follows. I was under the impression that improvement to pedestrian access to Longwater including signalled crossing of the slip roads and widening the path over the flyover, needed to be completed prior to any work starting on the phase 1 of the building works. Are plans underway for this to happen? And if not, has the council enforcement department been informed? Am I dealing with that, or was that one for Ben?
I can answer that one if you'd like. Correct in saying the kind of improvements that will happen to the Longwater Junction. However, these won't occur as the work start. Under the Section 106 agreement, no building can be occupied until this is completed and these improvements come under this Section 106 agreement. So the building work can start and be built to slab height, but then it cannot be occupied and lived in until these improvements are done. So they will happen in the kind of immediate future. I hope that answers the question.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. We're very happy with that. And the second question that we had was from Mr. Brooks. And Mr. Brooks's question was, why was the verge outside 15 Marlingford Road deemed to be so much more important and prone to damage than the verge outside of the park? And we have got an answer for that, and I would like to answer that as chairman. And the answer is that all verges that are maintained by the parish council have equal importance. The reason that the contractor is allowed to park on the verge next to the Jubilee playing field is that they sought permission to do so, and if this was deemed to be safe by the highways engineer for the area. They have also provided an undertaking to make good any damage that they create on the verge, and we approve this. Hopefully that answers Mr. Brooks's question, as I say, because we do feel that all verges should be protected and maintained in the best possible manner. Do we have any other questions or anything, Gina, to answer, or Peter?
No.
I'm not aware of anything else that's come in now.
Right.
Do you want to?
So do we move on to 6A as we have no more questions? Yeah. As I say, it'll have to bear with me slightly. I know that we're online, but as I say, new to this and have to get to know how it all works. So we move on to item 6A on the agenda, minutes of the meeting held on 12th of April 2021. And are we all happy, and do we all accept all of those?
Yeah, they're good. I'd like to propose we accept them.
Yeah, all those in agreement? Yeah.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay. Yeah. And then we move on to item 6B, minutes of the annual parish meeting held 12th of April 2021 for accuracy only.
Yeah,
Those aren't for resolution. That's just literally just for councillors to check the accuracy, and they'll actually be resolved at the next annual parish meeting next year. But just while it's fresh in everyone's mind, I normally let councillors see them. So obviously, if you've spotted any amendments, I can do those. But other than that, they'll sit there till next year now.
yeah. No,
Yeah, okay.
I thought they were fine.
Thank you.
I thought everything was all fine, yes.
Yeah, really good
Thank you.
minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then it's just item 6C, but again, if we don't have to run through that. No.
Again, those are just that's notes, so they're not official minutes. That's just literally notes of the working group meeting,
Yeah.
just as a reference point. So they're really there just for.
Yeah, I've read through them. Thank you for those. They were really
Right.
good and detailed.
Okay. So now we have item 7, the councillors' reports to receive brief reports not on the agenda.
Sorry if I just come in again there, Chairman, probably just to confuse you. I've taken your matters arising off because it's never good practice to have matters arising on, because people tend to make resolutions which they're not legal. But I wanted to give you the opportunity that if councillors had anything they wanted to bring up that wasn't an agenda item, they could bring it up under that item. So just as I say, there may be nothing, but just so you all feel you have got the opportunity if there's something you need to say that hadn't been on the agenda. Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you very much. As I say, we'll be undertaking the training that's been offered, and we'll then be right up to speed on all of this, and appreciate all of your help with this as well, Gina and Peter.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we've had the resident who wanted to ask the question has finally come in to the meeting. You may want to explain that this section has been dealt with.
Right. Was that the Mrs. Gladwell or Mr. Brooks? Which one?
They're not, they haven't unmuted themselves. It's called Chrissy. Here we go.
It's Mrs. Gladwell.
Right. Can you hear us, Mrs. Gladwell?
Did you say you've already discussed my question?
We did. I read out your question. I could read it again, and Benjamin P. Moy did actually answer the question. But if the rest of the parish councillors don't mind, I'm happy to reread the question. And would you like to answer it again, Ben?
Yeah, I can quickly answer it again. Yeah, no problem. So,
would you like me to read out the question, Mrs. Gladwell, or do you want to ask Benjamin yourself?
Yeah, I can ask. I just wanted to find out how, if we've had assurances or if there are plans in place for the work to improve pedestrian access to Longwater before the start of building works.
So basically, the improvements to that come under a Section 106 agreement as part of the delivery of the houses. And part of that agreement is that the improvements have to be completed before any building is occupied, but they can start building, if that makes sense.
Okay, yep.
So there won't be any extra residents in those houses before that's completed. But they can start on some construction before they've done that. But it is in the pipeline and it is going to happen.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. Could I ask another question?
Yes.
Just
please.
regarding the village hall, I know they've said that they'll provide space for the village hall, but will they will the developers be paying for the facilities of the building of the new village hall?
Can I pass it on to Councillor Milliken, please, to answer that?
No, unlike normal planning applications, South Norfolk deemed that the developer doesn't have to pay for the construction of a new village hall. However, the way that the Section 106 was written, they've actually landed themselves with the bill. We have taken through legal advice and through discussions with them, we're taking them kicking and screaming that they have to pay the bill. At the moment, we'll do. I was going to come on to a section in a second with regard to where we're up to under councillor reports, and I'll discuss it again in councillor reports. But we have got a planning application we're putting together at the moment. One of the problems is that the highways maps are different to the survey maps of who owns what, and Highways Norfolk want us to work in with Persimmons for highways infrastructure, so that's causing a little bit more work.
Okay, and I think I spoke with is it Francis? Was he the previous clerk to the parish council about what will be happening with the old village hall when we theoretically get a new village hall? I understand that's dealt with by the village hall committee. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Absolutely.
if
Yeah.
if I talk to this one, because it's past stuff. When the new village hall is built, the old village hall will no longer be the old village hall. It'll still be used as an amenity for the village. We're trying to work out what people want to do with it. One of the suggestions has been to use it as for the small children. I forget the brain.
The preschool.
The preschool children go there because there isn't the space within the main St. Peter's school. So we would then put preschool there and do all any necessary work to get that suitable for that. We want to keep it as a village asset for the community for the future. But
would there be an option of opening a community cafe or something? Just thinking that there's not much additional amenities coming with the build, even though it sounds like you guys have fought hard for it.
Well, I would say that any community cafe would go in the new village hall. That's going to have a huge amount of amenities there. It will be up to parish councillors in a couple of years, in years to come, to decide what they do with it, and the village, and hopefully they'll talk to the village what they want to do with it. But I would say that a cafe, the ideal place for that, will actually be in the new village hall, because there will be full catering facilities in there.
Okay. Thank you for that. Am I welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting?
Yeah. If everybody else is in agreement, I'm happy with that.
Super, thank you.
Yeah. The only thing is the questions section is finished now, but you're welcome to stay. So sorry, Sarah, I'm getting back into my old habit of being a chair.
Yeah, no, it's fine, Peter, as I say, because I've only been elected this evening. I'm looking for as much help and support as I can from other councillors, and particularly yourselves and Gina, while this meeting's ongoing, and because obviously I've got to take training, chairman training anyway. So it's, as I say, I'm looking for as much help and support as possible. I'm pleased that we have a member of the community, wants to partake in the meeting as well.
Move to item 7.
So we're coming on to item 7, councillors' report, to receive brief reports not on the agenda. It's allocated 10 minutes, and I believe you said you were going to run through that, Peter.
If I may, please.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Been speaking to the architects. The architects have put together a timeline plan for taking this project forward. We're looking at trying to gain planning permission December of this year, January of next. They have put together a project Gantt chart, which received only the other day. I've been starting to go through it, and just to make sure it fits in with what needs to be done. Most of it looks fine. They've built in some slack to allow for what they call curveballs from the district and county council. So that will all be put in, so I'll send that out to everyone. So hopefully, all being well, that we move through RIBA stage 2 and move into stage 3 around about the 31st of May. And stage 3 is getting the planning permission. Stage 2 is doing all the preliminary reports that will lead up to that. And then stage 3 starts with the design and access statement. They've been through pre-application comments with both highways and with South Norfolk. They've also been with regard to the design officer at South Norfolk as well. And they've all given a lot of feedback, and they're now putting that feedback into the design.
Right.
And the only other thing was the roofing, which they were looking at potentially what they call a Tesla solar roof.
Right.
But we may be too far eco-friendly advanced for them to actually do that at this stage. Tesla hasn't fully launched its solar roof in this area yet, but they're looking at alternatives, and they're looking at different eco heating as well. You know, there's a whole range of things, but that will hopefully be coming to you in reports in the very near future. So I think, has anyone got any questions for me with regard to that?
No, I don't have any, Peter.
No. David, anything?
Is that the same Tesla that is run by Elon Musk in the States?
Sorry?
Is that the same Tesla that is run by Elon Musk in the States?
Yes, that's the one.
It's okay.
Yeah, they've designed a roofing system which is very, very efficient, and it's an item to look at, especially, you know, reality, especially as we want to be eco-friendly. Ben wants to come in, and but just before Ben comes in on this, my view is South Norfolk are going to have to pay for it. You know, so Ben.
Yeah, basically their solar panels look like little slate tiles, so they actually fit into the character of a building quite well. And like Peter said, they're really, really efficient. So in an idealistic world, they'd be fantastic to have as part of the village hall.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that sounds very good then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We need to be conserving energy, etc., in any way we can. So is that all of item 7 finished, Peter?
I think our clerk had just an update with regard to insurance policy, and one of the things that's covered within it.
I was going to actually take that when we review the insurance under item 11.
Yeah,
If that's okay.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Then I have nothing else.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Peter. So then we have the county and district councillors report to receive.
Yeah, I haven't had one sent. So, and obviously Councillor Dewsbury isn't present. So whether she'll send one sort of in the next few days, but at this time we haven't received one.
Right. Okay. In that case, we can then move on to item 9, planning matters.
We did have one application. I don't know if you've had time to see it. It only came in today. Have you seen the one about the TPO?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I've obviously read through this on here, but I didn't, because I've only just got back from Gloucestershire late this afternoon to see my sick father.
Would you like me to just read the number and the address for clarity?
It's on the is it not on the screen?
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's on the screen. Diocesan House. Yeah. So if we move on to that, do you want to run through that, Peter, or do you want me to read through it?
If I run through part of it, it's
Yes.
fell 9 trees, 8 with ash dieback, and 1 which is close to the property. They also want to reduce the crowns on 2 oak trees and 1 chestnut, and remove dead wood from 1 oak tree, and reduce a Norwegian maple to be clear of the property. I had a really good look at these ones. I had a resident contact me about it, and you know, we want to make sure any trees that are coming out are for the right reason, because that whole area is TPO'd.
Yes.
Because there's ash dieback, I think the felling of the trees is important to stop its spread. So I would suggest that we approve this recommendation, subject to the following conditions. One of the key ones is, because there's a lot of nesting. There's a rookery there, and there's about 40 active nests, I've been advised, on that site. And I'm sure that these are conditions that South Norfolk will put in, but I think that no harm in reiterating these conditions. No work to commence during nesting season. And the next one would be is a bat report to confirm no bat activity near or on the trees, reference 57, 62, 64, 74, 83 and 99. Bats are really, really important. We've got a super colony of bats a few miles away, and bats do travel quite a distance, and they are a rare protected species. So I think they need to get, before they do any work, they need to get an up-to-date bat report, especially as in Deadwood, bats like to have their little roosts. And so I think they should get an up-to-date bat report. And I think any replanting that's done has to take place in accordance with any SNC guidelines. So those are what I'm feeling about it. What I don't know what others feel about it. I know Ben's looked at it and so on.
Yeah, I've had a read through as well, and yeah, I'd agree with what you said. And like you said, I imagine South Norfolk will, with responding to the application, will probably stipulate similar conditions. But yeah, that looks good to me.
Yeah, I think they'll do the same. I mean, with concern with bats, etc. I'm sure they'll ask for an environmental impact assessment. And we all know about bats nesting in trees. So we have got to protect those and any other species. It's not just the bats, but sometimes these trees will be holding species of insects or other animals and invertebrates that we want to protect. So having gone through that and listened to it and read through it, I agree with everything that you've said. But it has, approve it, but subject to conditions stated. David, did you want to say anything, or Gina?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
So if people are happy, I'd like to propose that we approve subject to the conditions listed.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Then all in favour?
All in favour? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's unanimous then. Yeah. And then we come on to item 2 there, A47, North Tuddenham to Easton Improvement Development Consent Order.
Hopefully I get this working.
Yes, yes, great picture, Peter. Yeah.
Is that working now?
Yeah, that's super.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we're starting at the Church of St Andrew, St Andrew's Church, and then we move across. I'll just let it play through. Now this is where it possibly goes horribly wrong for the presentation. So I've got to stop the share for a second, and then we'll go back into the share. Okay, let me just take it out of share, and then I've got to try and, yep, it did what I thought it would. So I'll now go back to from current slide. I'll get this share back up, and then we can go through that. Hopefully you've got that on the screen.
Yes, we have. Thank you.
Is it okay if I talk to this one at the moment?
Yes, please, Peter. Thank you.
Okay, the upside is much needed improvement to the traffic movement along this stretch of the A47. Safer access for pedestrians and cyclists over the A47, safer access for vehicles onto and off the A47 heading to or departing from Easton, reduced traffic noise, end all rat running through Lower Easton. At the moment, there's 4,800 vehicles a day on an unclassified road heading through Lower Easton, blighting the lives of all those. So this has actually addressed all of that and got what the residents want. It'll also improve journey times for individuals and businesses. Now, the current issues with the design. No direct access for the Food Enterprise Park onto the A47. Highways England cannot use public money to fund access to the Food Enterprise Park because it's a private business. This is where it starts to get worrying. Norfolk County Council, working with Broadland Council and South Norfolk Council, want to widen Church Lane and make the main entrance onto the Food Enterprise Park via Church Lane. This is likely to result in thousands of extra vehicle movements a day through Easton along the Dereham Road. I had one ecologist contact me recently saying that he's worried that he's seen reports of at least an extra 4,000 vehicles a day coming through the village of Easton, which is quite alarming. And the reason for that is that the Food Enterprise Park is now starting to be developed out. With the road changes, it will mean that to get to Honningham-Thorpe Farms, where they're employing, I think, 300, 400 people, and that they've all got to come certain ways, and the most likely way at the moment is a large proportion will come through the village, including HGVs. There can be some routing done with HGVs. I think that this needs to be fought, but I don't know who's going to fight it, given the behavior of some this weekend. I'm not prepared to give up any more of my free time to do stuff like this.
Right. Okay. I'd agree with you. It certainly needs fighting. We've got to, we can't allow the village to be destroyed by these vehicles.
The value of houses on the Dereham Road and all the side roads that go off them,
Yeah. Yeah, but it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Someone's going to have to, doesn't necessarily have to be parish councillors to step up, but someone's going to have to step up and work out how they can deal with this, because as we know in the past, Norfolk County Council, Broadland and South Norfolk don't listen to the parishes. They just push through their agendas and ignore us completely. I have been in the past able to do stuff, but as I say, I'm no longer willing to give up my free time because of the attitude of people in the village. All right.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fair enough, because as we found out recently, people aren't prepared to step up and help.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, please. Thank you.
I think
we come on to item 10, finance matters. Is that one for Gina?
I have to say, I haven't received the payment list. I had hoped that Mr. Woodcock was going to be at the meeting. I don't know, has he sent it to you, Councillor Milligan?
No, he hasn't.
I know he did kind of informally run through it at the finance group meeting, but
we got them all at the finance meeting. There is a full list that was done at the finance meeting. So this was just to approve that list. and
Yes.
the adding on of the post box that will go at the village hall, and Froggo. And Froggo has arrived and is in safekeeping at the present time, waiting to go on the park. But we'll talk about Froggo later.
Yes.
So are we able to resolve to approve the payment list then?
I believe we have. I haven't got it in front of me, but if it is the same list that we are working to, that was presented to us at the finance meeting, plus the extra for the post box, which everyone saw, and the extra for Froggo, I think we can approve those ones. We'd have to wait to approve any further ones to another meeting.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. As I say, Councillor Woodcock did go through everything, and we did all feel that we were happy with his figures. So
Do you want to propose and second that then?
I'll propose.
yeah, I'll second that.
All
And all in favour?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We can move on to item 11.
We're still on 10B.
Oh, sorry, 10B. Eastern COVID Recovery Fund, 10K for approval. We discussed that in depth at the finance meeting. I'm in favour of that. Has anybody else got any comments? I would like to propose it.
Yeah, I would make the comment. There is a lot of work to be done, and it was going to be done by me.
Yes.
And as I said, because of the behaviour of some, but I'm not so concerned about the behaviour of those minority. What I'm more upset with is the behaviour of the silent majority who sat back and did nothing with the vile comments that were made about me. So I will not be, while I support this, we have asked for residents to get involved in helping to put this together. While I support it, I will not be actively getting involved in putting it together.
Right. Okay, I understand that. And I think that, so as much as we wish it to go forward, I think like you say, if we're going to have adverse reactions from villagers towards you and others, then we have to consider our point of view on this.
Well, we're volunteering our time, everything we do. I've been spending 26 hours a week on parish council business, all voluntary. And
Yes.
to be treated the way I was, and my family members phoning me up, telling me the awful comments that were being made about me, it was disgusting. They have been all screenshotted, and those making certain comments were as part of a package that's been handed over to the police.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, are we going to approve it, or should we just keep that on the back burner until we can find a resolution to that? I mean, I'm happy to put some time into it, but I have, I'm a busy person, and I want to do as much as I can for the village. But again, we can't do it without support.
Did you want to allocate the fund for maybe a later date at this meeting, or would you rather just leave it to later in the year?
I'm happy to allocate it for later in the year and see whether we can get some help to sort this out. But as Peter's quite rightly said, Councillor Milliken has said, it is a very time-consuming process. And Councillor Milliken, who's given huge amounts of his time, is not in a position to be doing that at the present time. So I think we should, approve it, but have it on hold and see whether we can move forward with it if we can get others to help.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. I'm more than happy to approve it. I think it's a really good idea, but I think we do need someone or a few people to come forward and help us. There's only 4 of us doing this at the moment, so if we have that, it'd be a really good thing to do for the village. So at the moment, I'd say put it on the back burners, but when the time comes, I'm more than happy to approve that.
So just for clarity then, are we resolving that we're going to approve a 10k fund, but we're not going to put it into action until we receive further support, or are you actually deferring that decision? Because I've got proposal and a seconder now, but what's your actual decision?
I think,
go on, Peter, please.
I think it's important. It was something I really wanted to do for the village, but at this moment in time, given what took place, I cannot, my family, no, I can't give the time to it. I would love it approved, but people need in this village to actually get involved and actually help. We put out a call for people to help us so that we could put this together, experienced people who've worked in the fundraising sector, who will know how to put the documents together, who will be able to set the rules, because it's public money and they must be been involved with the spending of public money on this. So it was a specialist skill set that's going to be needed for this.
I'm sorry, am I able to ask
I'm
a question?
sorry, members of the public can't speak at this stage.
Sorry.
So for me, I would like to approve it very much because it was my brainchild.
It was, yes.
But I'm not willing to put the work in at the moment. I'm sorry. I'd like to see it approved, and maybe we can get someone to come forward. They don't have to be a parish councillor. They can actually be involved through a working. If you approve it, it can be approved through a working group, and then I think that's right, Gina. We could do it through a working group.
You'd have to approve the fund now, and then you could delegate. Well, you could delegate either to the RFO to make the payments. That's probably, I think we're sort of touching on that later, that the RFO will be delegated powers to make necessary payments in the interim. But I think you would have to approve at least the amount for the fund now, even though you could include in the resolution that it will be put on hold until such time as councillors feel ready to open up for applications. But as I say, you have made a proposal and seconded, so you either need to withdraw that now or really take a vote on it.
I would like to propose it. If Gina, you could give us some wording that we could use, and I would...
we had Councillor Wren did make a proposal and Councillor Moyes seconded.
All right.
And I think at that point we did say to approve the £10,000 to put it on hold until further support. But we came forward. So I think if you went with something along that line, and then I think when we did delegated powers further down the line, it will sort of fall into place, coming under the remit of either one or the other of the groups anyway. So at that point, when you feel ready to progress, at least the money's kind of earmarked and sitting there then.
Yeah, I think it's important, I would say, it was Councillor Milliken's idea, and to help and support local business. And you know, I think it's a great idea. So I think we do. We approve it, and but we just put it on hold for the current time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to vote on this then.
Yeah, I'm voting in favour of it.
Yeah, I'm in favour. I mean, I propose it. I'm in favour of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, so then we move on to item C, which precept first instalment, £9,790 received for information. Is that one for?
That's just for noting. That's just
Yeah.
so councillors, you're aware that's coming.
Right. Okay. So we can now move on to item 11 on the agenda. Are we happy with that? Yeah. Annual review of documents.
Can I just come in? Can I just come in before you start? Just because otherwise I'll miss the point that was brought up earlier. It's not technically a review, but it is an inquiry that we made recently about insurance. It was really a query as to whether councillors were covered for claims of defamation and libel. And I did look at your policy, but it wasn't entirely clear. And it did take a bit of time to actually get hold of the right person. But anyway, I did speak to one of the insurers yesterday who did come back and confirm again in an email. But it seems, and I think it's quite important that councillors are aware of this, it seems that you are covered as councillors for defamation and libel. So claims made against you, the insurance will cover you to fight those claims. What it became clear was that what it doesn't cover is if someone makes defamatory statements against you as councillors. At this time, the insurers have got a legal advice line where they will help you, but they will not actually take legal action and say take that to court or wherever it would need to go. So whilst I think the actual insurance policy was in order, because if that hadn't been on, I would be recommending we add the clause. It does seem that you're not, or they're not prepared to offer cover. So if in effect it's the other way around. So I think councillors, one, need to just be aware of that. And I'm not saying it's necessarily something you can resolve tonight, but it is potentially something that needs further discussion, I would suggest, and how the council might deal with that, because obviously, you know, you are all working and taking office without financial reward. So it does seem to me wrong that, you know, if something were to happen, that you wouldn't have the sort of backing of the council or the insurance cover to in effect defend yourselves. So as I say, that potentially probably isn't something we can solve tonight, but I think it probably does need to be revisited further on. But that was really just, that came up, and I suppose that was quite useful because obviously we were going to review the documents anyway. So that was quite a good exercise.
Yeah.
Go through, and also actually to see their response time really, which actually wasn't that great in coming back to us, because I initially emailed about a week ago, and I know we had the bank holiday, but it did seem to take, well, in fact, they didn't come back to me. I had to ring them, so they weren't overly quick at coming back. But I just think for clarity, councillors needed to know that. The other documents, as I say, you know, either you can go through one at a time, Chairman, or if you wanted, if there are no amendments, potentially you could resolve to accept them en bloc, but I'll leave you to do that bit. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if we've, you know, if there are no amendments and we've considered these, I'm happy to accept them all en bloc. If the other councillors aren't happy with that,
I'm
happy, Ben, Councillor Milliken.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think that the only one I think that we need to develop further or look at for next year or later on this year is the annual financial risks and internal audits.
Right.
Just to make sure, because it's all changing all the time.
Yes.
To do. So I think it's important. We don't need to change it at the moment, but I think we all need to be aware that we've got to just re-look at things on a regular basis, especially with regards to that one. Gina, am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, well, I think it could probably be improved on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine at the moment, and obviously the internal audit has already happened this year, and clearly your auditor didn't raise any concern. So I think that's fine for now. But I think potentially it probably would be better to review it a bit more thoroughly before your next audit, as Councillor Milliken says.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that, you know, with a new chairman and vice chairman, I think it is important that we do look at these things. So, yeah, as I say, I would like to, if we're all happy, then we can approve them en bloc.
Yeah.
You need a
okay. Do I need to propose that?
I'll propose that.
Yeah, and I'll second that.
Sorry, who proposed?
Benjamin.
Sorry, I can't see you all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you seconded, and that
I
was
second it.
Everyone.
unanimous, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, unanimous, all in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we move on to item number 12, delegation of powers. Delegated powers during COVID recovery for consideration. Do I need to read all of this out, Peter?
Well, I think Gina's done a huge amount of work in the background, because government has come back to us because there's been court battles. But Gina, I think could you explain, so that, because we've got a wider public audience as well to understand what the government said.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So yes, as you said, I did a briefing paper in response really to, there was a hearing challenging the decision to return to face-to-face meetings following COVID ruling. And despite the challenges from national authorities like local government lawyers, it resulted in the approved judgment that they have still maintained the original ruling, which is that virtual meetings will cease after the 6th of May. And councils are required to attend face-to-face again. So in response to that, obviously I was aware that obviously as councillors, some of you were not feeling ready to do that at this time, and also there was difficulties obviously with having an appropriate meeting place with social distancing and sort of other key needs. So we looked at what were the options, you know, following the cease of remote meetings, and one of the things that was in fact recommended and was offered at full consideration was further delegated powers, which you'll probably remember in the first lockdown. There was government guidance to delegate to officers and as necessary, really to keep councils able to function. So in effect, in the briefing paper that I sent you, obviously you'll see that there was an extract from a letter from Luke Hall MP, Minister of State for Regional Growth and Local Government, where he clearly states options could include the use of your existing powers to delegate decision making to key individuals. And then obviously as well, we made reference to delegated powers under Section 101 of Local Government Act 1972, which again talks about how you can delegate powers to officers and again certain members. So the sort of summation of the briefing note really was that obviously it's council's decision, but if you felt at this time you weren't ready to start face-to-face meetings, obviously because it also gave quite short notice with the legal challenge, that delegated powers could be resolved at this meeting tonight. And I think myself and the previous chairman, Councillor Milliken, and obviously involving all yourselves, have had correspondence to consider what would be appropriate for delegated powers, what would be the options, and also the fact that obviously already you have an existing finance working group, and whether that potentially would be better served by becoming more of a general facilities group, whereby you know, more than finances could be considered under it. The one thing that I would remind you of, which I know I've put in the briefing note, just for the any members of the public that are watching as well, is that you have to be mindful that financial responsibility cannot be delegated. It has to come back to full council. So whilst it's perfectly legal to delegate powers to make interim payments to enable the council to function, they do in due course have to come back to council to be ratified. So that's something you all need to be mindful of. And there was also a suggestion of how to do the planning, which I think already during COVID you have been sort of responding to planning applications as they've come through. And in effect, that could be formalised more with the formation of an actual planning and development working group tonight, which again, the suggestion is that should be a minimum of 3 members. I think usual guidance is that there needs to be a minimum of 3 in any working groups or committees. So I think that was sort of the background to it. And then, as I say, I think between yourselves, you've already considered what resolutions you might want to take forward, or what proposals you might want to make with that. But that was the sort of background to the item on delegated powers.
Can I, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, please, Councillor Milliken. Yeah.
I wanted to add in item 7. I feel that we need a safeguard built into this. And this is that delegated powers have to be reviewed at the start of any formal parish council meeting. So they're only in place until the next meeting, and then at the start of any meeting, they have to be agreed upon again, so that it can't just be left in that infinitum. You know, they must be agreed. Anytime the full parish council come together for a formal meeting, these powers have to be re-looked at to see if they're still suitable at that time.
Right.
I think Councillor Milliken did have a sort of list of proposals ready, so I don't know if you wanted to read those.
They're on the screen at the moment.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, sorry, I keep looking at who's talking rather than what's on the screen. So yes, so I think that was the bits that Councillor Milliken sort of came to, as proposals for tonight or consideration by the councillors. So as I say, whether you want to just read those or whether you want to just read those out, Councillor Milliken, and then obviously you can either second and resolve or amend or propose alternative ones.
Or Councillor Renders, do you want to read them out, or give you a chance to get the feeling of doing the stuff?
I can read out the delegation of powers, delegated powers during COVID recovery for consideration. And I can only see part of it on my screen, so I will actually read off on my phone. So item 1 would be council meetings will be held 4 times a year and must include the annual council meeting. Item 2, the finance working group becomes a general facilities working group with the brief it handles all business of the council to ensure continuity of services in the interim period between full council meetings and reports to the next meeting. Item 3, RFO to make all necessary payments in the interim period to enable the council to function and provide all necessary services subject to approval by the chairman of the council and or Councillor Milliken as signatories. Item 4, the acting clerk to take all necessary action in the interim period until the next meeting to enable the council to continue to function and provide all necessary services to parishioners in conjunction with the facilities working group. Number 5, establish a planning and development working group with a minimum of 3 councillors. Item 6, all planning and development matters, including Highways England, the Western Link LL6 and Food Hub L6, delegated to the Planning and Development Working Group. Any planning consultation must have the support of at least 2 of the 3 members before a response is issued. And item 7, these delegated powers are to be reviewed at the start of any formal parish council meeting. As I say, I know you've put a huge amount of work into this, Peter.
Yeah, I'd like to propose this.
I'd like to second it. All in favour? Yep, unanimous, Gina.
Thank you. Can I just say one last point just before we move on to the next item? Just
Yes,
because I'm
please.
conscious if we're not having a meeting for a little while, would you like to resolve who the members of the Planning and Development Working Group are going to be, or as it's only 4 of you, would you like to resolve that all of you are members of that at this time?
I think it'd be good to have all of us, but we have to have a minimum of 3 together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we have all of us, we know we have to have a minimum of 3. And as you quite rightly put, if we point out if somebody can't make it, we've still got the correct number of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all happy to resolve that?
Yeah, I'll propose it.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I'm in favour.
Yeah, all in favour.
All in favour.
Okay, thank you.
Aha. Froggo.
No, before Frogo 13.
So we come on to item 13, Eastern Neighbourhood Plan Review. Eastern Neighbourhood Plan Review for consideration.
If I can take that, I've spoken to Councillor, Mr. Vincent, Sean Vincent, just faux pas slip up because he's also the leader of Broadland Council. We can get funding. We built into the neighbourhood plan is a 5-year review, but with everything, it takes about a year or so to actually get a review period done. So what has been suggested is that we can have funding of about, I think it's about £16,000 to do a review from the government, and I think we apply for that so that we can start putting in place, because we have had a number of new faces in the village, and they may have some extra ideas. And as the village, that's why we do 5-year reviews. That's why we work out what's worked, what hasn't worked, what can be improved on in wording. So what would take place is there would be consultations, and then it would formalise, in any changes that we wanted to make to it would then require a vote of the residents of Easton, whether they wanted those changes or not. Not the original. The original plan is unaffected. It's just any changes that are made to it, because the original plan's voted in. It's just any changes or additions we wanted to make to it. So I would like your agreement that we can press the button on ASBAG going forward, receiving the funding, applying for the funding so that we can start the review process for the Eastern Neighbourhood Plan.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I need a seconder for that.
Yeah, I'll second that. Yeah.
And then all in favour? Yeah, unanimous.
Unanimous. So then we're going to move on to item 14.
Yeah. Frogo.
Yes, open spaces, yes.
I'll happily cover this if you like, Chair, because it's something I've been breathing every day and dealing with. Well, Frogo's here. The young people of the village know Frogo. I think Ben's going to talk about Frogo in a little while. He knows Frogo. So the first thing I want to start with is the boundary of Jubilee Plainfield with Buxton Close. After a recent incident on the park, our solicitors looked into the boundary, because the boundary fence had been damaged, and it turns out that we don't own any of that. It's owned by the residents of Buxton Close. It's in their deeds. They are responsible for the whole hedge and everything in it. So for us putting our fencing up, we have to go on inside our land to put the fencing up, and it may be that for consideration that all the properties which are on the boundary with the Jubilee playing field will need to be contacted by the clerk to remind them that they have a legal responsibility to maintain the trees and the hedging, and that and we've seen, I did share with everyone all the plans that even down to the types of tree are named, which each plot has to look after on that area. So when they purchase houses, that all comes with the deeds. So that's something that will have to be thought about. But I would think most people will know that through their solicitors, that they have the responsibility. I think over time that's been forgotten, but this incident on the park has brought it to light, and because we're duty bound to follow regulations on this and the law, and take our solicitors' advice, and what they're advising is any fence we put on must be within our curtilage of land, and that the responsibility for maintaining and making sure the hedge doesn't damage our fence and grow too far and damage our fence are the residents who are responsible through their deeds in Buxton Close. If
Right.
that makes sense. Probably become very unpopular again, but that this their property, not ours. So I'll leave that for the parish council to think about. Does anyone want to ask anything on that one at the moment?
No, I just think that it is important that we have that fence. Say we had that serious incident. So provided we show our duty of care, those residents have to, some of them may have admitted to read all the fine print in their deeds and not be aware of their responsibilities.
Can I just come in and just quickly say before we move on that that incident has been reported to the insurers now, so that's sitting with them, even though there's no claim at this time, just so you're all aware.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So there's a fencing delay. We'd hoped to get all the work on the park done at the same time, but getting parts, they're having a real problem. We've had I was speaking to a resident today, and they were telling me that they're just having a simple picket fence put in, and it's another 4 weeks before they can get it put in. It's just the suppliers haven't got the materials and so on. Now, I've been talking to CGM almost every day to try and get a resolution to this, because this fencing was all agreed on the 13th of last month. And what they're hoping to be able to do is to start the work, and this is a tentative date only at this moment in time. I stress tentative because their suppliers are trying to make sure that they have all the gear in, of the 24th of May to get everything in. What it will mean is that we'll have to have some the emergency fencing in place on the area which has the damaged fencing, and also put in temporary emergency fencing against the hedge, our hedge on the going to Woodview Road. And if that we need to put in to satisfy that the safety, otherwise we wouldn't be able to open the park until that's in. So hopefully they will be able to do it on the 24th, but to get the park open as soon as possible, it's to put in even some more extra emergency fencing, so that the park can be used by the young people. Right. Ivy removal. Rather than the ripping out of the hedge like some people wanted in the past, what CGM are proposing to do is have a two-man team coming in on hopefully the 11th of May, and what they will do is they will cut the roots of as many of the ivy plants, vines as they can in a day. What it will mean over the summertime is the roots will die off. So, you know, the plants will die off where they've been cut. They will do that once a year for the next few years. We'll build it into the contract. That will kill off the ivy. As the ivy dies off, then the gaps in the hedge can then be filled with new planting. So there's a number of trees, as Councillor Renders, you said, are still alive. There's some oak in there and so on, and they'll recover. So that hedge will properly recover. It's been strangled at the moment, but it will recover. Has anyone got any questions over that bit?
No, I think we all agreed before. We were happy for that to be undertaken, because it's important that we try and preserve the structure of that hedge that we've already got. Okay.
The next thing is, which isn't actually on the screen, is very sadly to report that the Jubilee playing field will not be finished on Friday.
Right.
They've had problems getting some of the fitments, and their suppliers are promising them they'll have them as soon as possible. They think it'll be the middle of next week to the end of next week that everything will be done and complete with regard to that part of the park. As you know, we had some extras after we looked at the plans and so on and went around the site. There was another things that hadn't been taken into account. What we've done is some of it they're doing free of charge, but some of it they've had to charge for, because we've got extra safety matting going down in areas under the picnic tables and so on, so that they don't get worn out and they're easier for someone with accessibility needs to be able to use them. And so it added some extra, and this was all agreed at the finance working group. And the Froggo bin, which was an extra £307.43p, we've got that because the bin that we had wasn't suitable. The litter falls out of it, and we hope this will encourage young people to use the litter bins more. I think Ben wanted to come in on that point.
Yeah, just a quick point, really. I think I mentioned to you on the phone in between the last meeting, the kind of colours of it. You can also get a yellow one. So I thought, especially in light of Norwich being champions and being promoted to Premiership, maybe we should get a yellow one as well and have two in the park, one at each end. I think they'd go quite well as a pair, really. But that's up to you as councillors whether you think that would be something worth doing. I think that park gets quite a lot of use, and with the new equipment it'll only get more, so maybe having a bin at each end may be something worth considering.
My thoughts on that would be, well done, Norwich. But would it be worth it? I mean, I certainly agree it would be a great idea to have another bin, because that was an item or something that I was going to raise. Could we have possibly the second bin as, a bin for recycling? So for the plastic bottles, is that, what do other councillors think of that? We should be trying to encourage these youngsters to recycle.
I think the problem we have to realise is that most of our recycling isn't actually being fully recycled in the way that we would hope.
No, it's not.
It's going to incinerators. I think you could have the Frogo, the green Frogo for recycling, and the yellow Frogo for general waste. You know, so you could do something like that, because green is the color with recycling and so on. So paper and recycling materials would go into the green Frogo, and it's just an educational thing for the young people that they'll pick that up probably a lot quicker than adults will, of which ones to use. And so while I don't support Norwich Town football, I grew up in Ipswich many years ago, but I don't even know what league they're in now. If they're in a
You
league.
don't want to.
I just remember the days when they actually won the cup.
Yeah, they beat my team. Yeah, they beat Arsenal. But I do agree that with Ben, that I think it would be a second bin would be ideal.
Yeah, that would cost in at, sorry, yeah, Ben.
If we had a recycling bin, would that be able to be collected as recycling? If you see what I mean?
No,
Or not? They wouldn't be able to.
they would collect everything. These are collected by South Norfolk. They're collected as one bulk collection, and they're dealt with as general waste.
Right. Okay.
Even to general waste bins, we all know what it's like. I'm not casting aspersions, but a bin at either end of that playing field would be ideal, I think.
Yeah.
Because if people only have to walk a short distance to dispose of their rubbish, they're more likely to dispose of it in a proper receptacle.
Yeah. So you're looking at a price of an extra £307 on top of what we've got there to have a yellow Frogo. I will say that these Frogos are an awful lot cheaper than getting the standard bins. The standard bins that we had on the other parks were £600 each. So these Frogos are very good value for money.
Yeah. Well, I'd happily propose having another one of those.
Yeah. So, Gino, can we sort of put a resolution to have those?
Do we need to resolve the 2,607?
Yeah, we do that first.
That was done at the working group. So could we not just add it to that resolution?
Yeah. Yeah. We could.
Somebody wants to propose and second that payment with the addition of the 307.
Yeah, I'd propose that with the addition of the new payment.
The seconder, Ben seconding.
All in favour? Yeah, so unanimous on that one.
All right, excellent. The next one we move on to, I keep looking at Frogo at the moment. I keep drawn to him. The Muga refresh, Action Plan Leisure have provided quotes to heighten the arena fence in line with the ends and put an inward 45-degree angle to help stop balls going out of the Muga and onto the college field. We looked at the cost of nets. In the short term, they are cheaper, but are more prone to vandalism and wear. They're not favoured as a means, as DIS used them and found that they trap birds in them and cause distress. And so they were removed quite quickly after they were realizing that the nets were trapping the birds, whereas these wouldn't trap the birds. So I would say the metalwork is the most appropriate to solve the issue. Initially, it's more expensive, but long term, the benefits are greater, less maintenance. It will, and plus they're going to do the rest of the Muga, tightening up all the wires and everything else. And that has a cost for the work of £4,339.79. So I would propose that work is done.
Yeah, Ben to second it. Yeah.
Ben second it. All in favour?
I'm in favour. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favour.
In favour of that. Okay. Now we move on. The cost of repainting the Muga base for multi-use games is £3,237. It's painting the court green and line in 2D goals and the centre line plus the basketball Ds at each end. What they're going to be using is a sports court paint. There's a process they go through. It's an anti-slip colour coating to help sports surfaces to be enhanced and in their appearance, and also playing properties of the facility, and they improve slip resistance so less people get hurt. By using the specialist paint on the court, the slip resistance will be dramatically improved as the players will have more grip on the surface. And I put some images of examples of how it can be painted. They've suggested our court is green. I've seen courts which are red. I've seen them which are blue. Tennis courts which are blue. They look very good. So this would be done by a company that Action Play and Leisure will bring in, and they also do the work for a lot of the councils. And as I say, the cost is £3,237, but it revamps and makes it a proper playable surface for the young people, and that's something important. And remembering all these costs can be offset against the 100,000 we're getting for off-site works. So I'd like to propose this.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
I really do. It gets a lot of use.
Yeah.
I think that if we've spent the money on the other facilities for the youngsters, the older or the young adults use this. So I really do believe it's money well spent.
David, you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The one thing that we need to be minded of is that this play area, the whole of the Jubilee playing field, is for the age of 16 and below.
Yes.
It is not for adults to play on this area, as we know that there are college students that keep coming up while they've got their own areas to play on. So there will be bigger signs put on the gates, the new gates, and also when the new gates all go up, it's proposing to lock the site in the evenings at 8 o'clock, and in the summer months and in the winter months to lock it around about 5 when it gets dark. This is to hopefully stop instances like we had when we put in the first tower, when we caught some young people trying to set fire to it, to stop vandalism. All right, so moving on from that one. The next one is, there's been lots of comments about what can we do for the older children, and because they're not that well catered for within the village, because they don't have social clubs and things anymore because of all the legislation that goes around them. And we've taken advice, and I can never say it. I always want to drop the L off. Ben, help me.
Levitator.
A Levitator 4. This is a 50 square meter climbing area for older children. The younger children can't get on it. The spacings are too wide. It is designed for the older children. And the other part of that, and so this would go on College Heights, because recently it was identified that one of the pieces of equipment had sustained some damage, and that is in the process. We made it safe, but we're in the process of going to be getting it revamped and all the treads sorted out on that, so it's fully workable again. but it showed that there was this huge space that's not been used, and Ben was saying to me about it's not getting great use. So we thought, right, yes, Ben.
Yeah, just a couple of comments on this. I know you sent this out to us the other day, so we've had time to look over it. I think this would be quite good in the sense that you said there's not a lot of provision for older children in the village, and I think there's something relatively similar to this in Thetford Forest, High Lodge, and I know that it's something I used to enjoy playing with, so I think it would be quite a good addition. And kind of following on with that as well, I'm currently engaging with Persimmon about the kind of phase 2 development of Easton, which includes the Easton Green and the play area there, and that will hopefully link up to the College Heights play area. So it'd be quite nice if this kind of links to that and continues through. So it'll be one large play area, kind of catering for everyone.
Yeah. So we're trying to plan it ahead and get it.
Yeah, definitely.
The company that supply this are a UK-based company. They normally ship it out to America and to Europe, and this one would be the only one of its type in Norfolk. And they're thinking it may be the only one in the Eastern region. So we'll have something very special. And what we'll do is put a tiger mulch base on it, which is a resin base, so that you're not got grass under it. You've got a proper, because it's older children, more hard wearing, and we don't want it to become a mud swamp. So we put tiger mulch there. The other thing is to also, for the younger people, is to give them an alternative area where they can socialize, go together, and is to put a shelter in on College Heights. It will have pull-up trapeze rings, a baseball backboard and hoop, seating. It's all steel construction, so it's long wearing. Now the next one is here. So as I said, it's UK manufactured. We'll be using a tiger mulch base, which meets British and European standards for children's safety. The cost to install the levitator is £17,817, and the metal teen shelter is £10,577.50, and that includes a tiger mulch base, so that they can, as you can see in the photograph over here, that they'll be able to bounce the ball and do hoops and so on with it as well. The cost to fund this work will be recovered from the future payment of £100,000 towards off-site open space mitigation due to the Orbit housing development being approved. I would like to propose that we install the levitator and also the metal teen shelter on College Heights to give the older young people at the village something. I need a seconder for that.
I'll second that one.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, moving on from that. Nearly at the end now. Sorry, over to you.
Right, so item 15, correspondence received to date. So Norfolk Association of Local Councils General Meeting on 20th of May 2021 for information.
Yeah.
Is that over to you, Peter, or Gina on that one?
Gina, if you just explain what the second.
Sorry, just really so you were aware that obviously you can attend if you wish. You can either book direct. I'm fairly sure I sent the bulletin round, but either you can book direct, or if anyone wants to go, if they want to email me, I'll book them in. But just so you're aware that that was on, because obviously that's fairly significant in the Norfolk Association's annual meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
And then B, Gina.
And B was just, it really, we've discussed it already, that it was just the noting of the sort of formal notice of the approved judgment regarding the challenge to return to face-to-face meetings, which we did discuss earlier in the discussion of delegated powers, but that's just really the sort of the formal notice of who challenged who in the courts, and obviously we know that they approved the original judgment, didn't make any changes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. And we move on to item C.
Yeah.
Is that one for you, Peter?
Yeah, this one, I met a gentleman on the park, and it was just before the work started, and I'd received an email from someone else on Cardinal Close who was very worried that land was going to be sold. The play area on Cardinal Close was being sold because there was a notice up that South Norfolk were going to sell it. And I'd explained to the individual concerned that yes, they were going to sell it, but I reassured him there was nothing to worry about, because they technically, for the land transfer to take place, they are selling it, but they're selling it to us for £1. And we've already got the plans all drawn up for the work that needs to go onto it. And to make a change, I had a very nice email from this gentleman who said, firstly, thank you for the lovely chat this morning in the park. Really looking forward to seeing the park all finished and the little man running around again. After our chat, I had an idea I thought I'd put to you about maybe the playground in Cardinal Close that will be built, having the following bench or something like it, due to having a lot of NHS workers on the close. And he attached a picture, and he was then said, again, thank you for this morning. It was a lovely chat. It's because it came in the email, I can't share the name of the individual, which I'd love to do, but because I thought it was really, really nice what he was saying. But under the data protection regulations, I can't share his name. But I think it's a really good idea, putting something like this. I don't know what other councillors think of. Now, hopefully, it's taken 2 years to get to the point where we are for getting the transfer over, and also there are certain things which are sort of like pet projects for me, which is the young people of the village, to make sure that they have, you know, amenity. So what, you know, and I think this is, you know, great for the parents as well, but also for the young people to remember that we have a lot of thanks to give to not just NHS workers, but all the key workers, all the blue light services, and all those who volunteered their time during this pandemic to help others. And I think, you know, this is a nice long-term way of doing that.
Yeah, I'd agree that my thoughts on it are that it has to be for all key workers.
Yeah.
Not, you know, because the people that work in supermarkets, the people that work in the industry that I work in, etc., with, you know, are all key workers.
Yeah.
And while we support what the NHS have done, I would, for me, thanks has to be given to all the people. You know, we've relied on supermarkets, we've relied on fuel deliveries, etc., all key workers.
Yeah, and this is what this does. It celebrates and thanks the NHS. It thanks all the key workers. So something like this, we can look and we can talk to residents and see what you know, near the time, what would suit, what
Yes.
you would like to see. And I think that's important, is to get the residents' feedback in the design of it. But I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think we need to have something within this village to show, you know, we have been fairly lucky. I know there's some have been lost in this village to this pandemic, but this is something to thank all those, from the farm worker who goes out in the early hours of the morning to look after the animals, to the shopkeepers who kept us fed, to the NHS workers, those who are volunteering right now, giving COVID jabs.
Absolutely.
All those
Yeah.
people should. I think it's a permanent reminder of thank you to people for all.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree. Yeah.
And so, as this progresses now, hopefully I'll be around. But if I'm not, hopefully that you will take this forward.
Yeah, no, I certainly think we have to take it forward. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
There is one final piece of correspondence that's not on here, which came in. It's some training,
Yes.
which I believe that would be very beneficial. It's a day's worth of training, and I've put it to Gina to attend the training, because it's training for awareness on disability needs, so that it right down to our website and so on, so that we can actually get it fully compliant. So there's a whole lot of things that need to be done, and the plan would be for, and I think Gina, you sent it out to all the other councillors as well.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it was circulated.
I've
Yeah,
read.
that's for the 20th of May, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's actually the same day as the Norfolk Association for Local Councils meeting. I think it's important that we do attend training like this. It adds value to the services we can provide to members of the community. And, I think we should look at that. And the payment for our clerk's time would come from two areas. One area would be out of her standard day, which is taken up to lunchtime, 12 o'clock, and then the afternoon session paid for out of our training budget.
Yeah.
For us as volunteers, we attend and we don't get paid, but our clerk is an employee, so needs to be remunerated for the training. And so my suggestion will be is the morning session is normal clerk's time, and the afternoon session comes out of our training budget.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think that, Jane is doing a great job. She certainly needs paying for what she's doing.
Yeah.
And it's.
Do we need to resolve that, Gina, or is that just happy that that's what we do?
As Nate brought it up, it's probably worth having a resolution if Councillor Wren is prepared to second it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. Yes.
All in favour?
Yeah.
All in favour, unanimous. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I would say that often when I was chair, that we always had a second opportunity for residents to speak, because I know the lady's still with us, and hopefully she's still with us. Her screen's blank, but she's still there. Yeah, I'm hoping that yes. And I think she wanted to say something, and it's up to you, Mr. Chair, as you're now in charge, but I think we should resolve to suspend. I'd like to propose we resolve to suspend to give the resident an opportunity. I need a seconder, and then.
Yeah, I will second that. I would like to give the resident an opportunity to speak. Yeah, all in favour.
Thank you. Thanks. I actually sent Gina an email just with the question, which is handy because I'd completely forgot. So my question was that you were talking in point 10B about the Easton COVID Recovery Fund.
Yeah.
And I think you said something that there was some consultation or a call to the community for support.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I've been in Easton almost 10 years now. I am and I wasn't aware of this call. I'm not a big user of Facebook or social media, so if it went out that way, it might have passed me by. But I just thought, as a member of the community, I would say I didn't receive that request. So I would just be interested in how you.
It went out at our last meeting. It also went out within the minutes. It went out within the, I understand, the grapevine as well. So it went out through a number of different mediums. I've also spoken to the head of the school to try and see if she knew someone that would be willing to come forward and help and put this together, but so far we've got no one.
Okay, so and the minutes are available on the Parish Council website.
Yeah, they're all available, and also the videos of the meeting. It was at the annual meeting of the parish. It's all on there, as well as it's in the grapevine.
The grapevine, yeah. Okay.
So it's in all those places, you know.
Yeah.
I won't use Facebook for those because they're horrid places.
Yeah.
So there's not many, you know. I'm not sure where else we can advertise it.
It's so difficult, isn't it, to get community engagement?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were maybe going to volunteer, but
I'm a doctor at the hospital with 2 young children. I've got my work cut out at the moment.
Yes.
But you know, this stuff is all very interesting to me, and I would like to support in any way. I don't even know anything about it, like I say.
Yeah, it takes time. Unfortunately, I'm only willing to do so much. You know, I've given up a lot of time, and I'm not prepared to be abused the way I've been abused. You know, the silent majority stayed silent too long on what happened over the weekend. They phoned me up and made lots of comments and so on, but it needs to be in a more public arena of people standing up to these individuals. I'm sure they're on there right now, trolling away. But I don't care anymore. You know, I'm not chair. I can be a bit more open in my comments. But hopefully you like the idea about the chair that we're suggesting for Cardinal Close.
Oh yeah, the bench, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And no, we very much appreciate everything that's been done for us all.
Yeah, 100%.
You saved my life last summer. You know, I wouldn't be here now if it hadn't been for Norfolk and Norwich acting so quickly to save me. But pretty scary day. Never mind. Okay, well, sorry, back to you, Stuart.
Yeah, so I think we've completed everything that was on the agenda and all the items for this evening. So I'd like to close the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank
everybody for attending.
Thank you.
And
I've stopped the share. The share is now stopped.
Right.
So, but we're really grateful. You know, I think that very smooth, well-run meeting. You know, well done.
Well, I'll come around, as I say, if I can, I'll pop in. Well, I will. I'll definitely make time to come and see you tomorrow, and we can run through a few things. And I know I need to do the chairman